Hello, my internet family, and welcome back to another video. I found this article on foxnews.com, and it's about there's a bacteria that's been found in baby formula. Baby formula that has now been added to the CDC watch list. And I'm going to tell you by reading this article that it should have been added to the CDC a long time ago. And I feel that a lot of infant related deaths has been caused by this formula found. I'm sorry, by this bacteria that has been found in baby formula. Um, so I do want to start by saying that this is for informational purposes only. I am here bringing you this article just to make you aware of deadly chemicals that's found in infant formula that we feed our babies on a daily basis, sometimes up to um, up to 10 times a day, up to. So let's get into this article. This article was published June 30th of this year, and it reads infections from potentially deadly bacteria in baby formula added to CDC watch list. Reports of infections have been vastly underreported, experts say. It's painful to think about because it is, and it involves babies. Babies who are little people who cannot fend for themselves. So they look to us as their parents to make sure and make decisions for them that will keep them alive. Okay. There is a video, but I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read the article. And it reads the CDC will now begin tracking infections caused by Cronobacter, which is a deadly, potentially deadly bacteria. It's not potential, it is deadly. That has been found in powdered infant formula. That means Enfamil, Similac, and all other brands of infant formula. Now, I am not an advocate for infant formula. I am for a breastfed nation. And if you don't know about me, I am a mom. My 2 year old has been breastfed the entire time. To this day, he is still breastfed. So I'm for a breastfed nation. I'm not for trying to figure out what's good for the babies and what's not. I'm not for using the babies as a test subject. Like I'm not for that. And I think that people should really consider taking breastfeeding more seriously because more and more since the year 2020, um, more and more information has been put out that infant formula is what's the word for it? Um, Infant formula is not something that our children should be ingesting. It causes too many problems, and you would think that with all of the problems and all of the recalls that infant formula has faced in the past couple of years, that people will put two and two together to understand that it's the formula that's causing all of the problems that their babies are having. But no, because you know convenience convenience is more important than health of the baby. So let's keep reading. On Thursday, the Council of State and Territorial Ophthalmologists, a nonprofit group that advises the CDC, added Cronobacter related infections to the national watch list of serious conditions that should be reported to the Public Health Agency. Minnesota and Michigan are the only two states currently required to report Cronobacter infections. Shout out to those states Shout out to Michigan and Minnesota. And if you are from either of those states, shout out to you. Um, I think all states should be required to report things like this. Um, this is really harmful to our children, and the fact that it's not being reported, it's not more widespread. The fact that it's just being related to other child illnesses is really concerning because more infants have had problems with this than we could ever imagine, and the fact that it's not being reported, it's really concerning to me. So baby formula shortage will continue to wreak havoc on families in new year. I'm beyond struggling. I guess that was what the mom said. With this new recommendation, which will officially begin next year, all states will be asked, not required, but asked to report cases to the CDC. It will not be a requirement. So think about that too when you're feeding your baby these chemicals, because that's what formula is. It's chemicals. Think about that when you're feeding these chemicals to your baby and something happens to them and the doctors don't have to report it to the CDC. Think about that, because they want to keep it on the shelf. They want to keep you buying it because they get paid regardless. These companies, the doctors that's working with them, they get paid regardless. Once you pay your money, that's it. They don't care about you afterwards. They don't care about what happens to these babies afterwards. And it's just a coinky dink that Minnesota and Michigan start reporting, to add this, the Cronobacter to the watch list, the warning list, because there have been more Cronobacter related deaths that we don't know about, that they don't report because they want to keep the money rolling. Why not? Formula is $1 billion industry. It's $1 billion industry. So I really think that we should look more into breastfeeding. Look more into what it takes to breastfeed your children, because the risks are too high. Gambling with infant formula is too much. In 2021, the discovery of the bacteria in baby formula led to mass recalls and the temporary shutdown of the Abbott Nutrition plant in Sturgis, Michigan, which led to widespread shortage. And I remember that. And then people were trying to scramble, figuring out how they can get their milk back, how they can get their milk, they themselves to produce the breast milk, and then they ended up putting it back on the shelves. So something as serious as that bacteria, which could potentially what could be fatal to your babies, shouldn't be on the shelves, and they put it back on the shelves a couple of months later. Couple months after they knew what was in it. They knew it was fatal to the babies, and they put it back on the shelves anyway. But it begs the question: is it them or is it you? Because they knew what was in it. They recalled it. You knew they recalled it, and you still bought it anyway once they put it back on the shelf. So what's more important to you? Convenience or the health of your babies? The first reported case prior to the formula shortage was in Minnesota in September 2021. The CDC logged at least 4 infant illnesses and 2 deaths, although 9 infant deaths were also reported to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration between December and March 2022. So they not reporting it. They not reporting it at all. And even if they are reporting it, they not letting the public know. They're not letting the public know. I wonder why that is. Industry watchdogs applaud new oversight. It's great news that Cronobacteria is being added to the list of infections reported to the CDC, says Teresa Murray. Which is shocking here. What's shocking here is that this wasn't required a long time ago. Of course not. They want to continue to make the money. FDA admits to knowing about deadly bacteria found in baby formula factory months before the recall. So they know it's deadly. They know what's happening. And they still don't want to let you know. They don't want to say anything. That it was found in the factory before you even open the container. It's found in a factory where it's packaged, where it's put together, and it's still being able to be sold in these stores for you to purchase to give to your baby. I'm just bringing you the information. Just in case you didn't know, I'm just bringing you the information so you can make a sound decision on what's best for the baby, not for you, for the baby. She added, quote, and it's a bit troubling that states won't be required to report, even though most likely will. No, they won't. No, they won't. If they're not required to report it, they won't report it. Even if it is something that's fatal, even if it is something that's fatal, they won't report it because they don't care. All they care about is getting paid. That's it. So don't expect them to care more about your babies than you do. Each year, around 300 food and beverage recalls are issued through the FDA and the USDA, Murray noted. Most of those triggered by reports of illness. One of the key ways that regulators find out about food problems and are able to connect the dots to issue a recall is when people get sick and go to the doctor or contact health officials, she explained. Many experts believe that virtually all foodborne illnesses, such as salmonella and listeria, are underreported because many people don't get sick enough to go to the doctor or write it off as just a stomach bug, Murray said. But to think that we may have had families whose babies got incredibly ill with Cronobacter in the past and didn't get reported to authorities just because no one thought it was necessary is painful to think about. Yes, because these are little humans who cannot fend for themselves. They are they are looking to us to protect them, to make the sound decisions for them, to make sure that they are in their healthiest state possible. And we choose to trust people who see about 25, 30 different people a day and are told and are taught to not get attached to people. Don't put your emotions in this. Doctors don't feel for us. Doctors don't feel for you. They don't care if your baby gets sick. And you know the crazy thing about this whole situation, the I don't know if you would call it irony. I don't know. But the thing is, the people who make the formula, the people who sell it, the people who advocate for it, when they go home after they done with you at the end of the day, when they go home, they their families, their children are breastfed. Their wives breastfeed. They don't feed their babies formula. That's crazy, right? Because you would think that the same people that are advocating for it are the people that use it. That's not true. That's not true. They babies are breastfed. Trust and believe me. It's the same thing with Bill Gates and this whole vaccination situation. And he came out and said his kids not vaccinated. So it begs the question of what is the actual motive here? And why are you trusting these people to care more about your baby? These are strangers. And you have to approach the situation as such. These people are strangers. They're not going to care about your babies. They're not going to care. They're not going to love your babies as much as you do. So you have to make sound decisions on your baby's behalf until they're able to make sound decisions for themselves. Infant formula is not it. And I know that, a lot of the people will say that, well, I had formula when I was a baby and nothing happened to me. But how do you know that? How do you know that some of the things that you aren't suffering from today aren't aren't from the aren't from being fed formula? And formula is much more potent now than it was back in the day. With all the advancements, they didn't stop working on formula just because we got older. So it's even more chemicals, more sugar, more additives in formula than it was when we were babies. So think about that. Think about what you putting in your baby's body. Think about all the times that your baby's constipated and has gas and their immune system is not developed, and your babies are not on track or they're lagging. Think about that because a 0 to 6 month old, the only thing they ingest is formula. So you would think that the cause of their problems would be formula. But it's okay if a physician tell you that, oh, it's okay, they falling behind, they lacking, it's okay, they not hitting the milestones yet. It takes time for everybody. No, things don't work like that. So think about that. We hope this change will allow problems to be more detected more quick. Sorry. We hope this change will allow problems to get detected more quickly so potentially dangerous infant formula and other foods can be recalled more quickly. Not if they don't write it off first. If that happens, it means fewer babies should get sick or die in the future. Let's hope so, because again, it's the parents' decision. It's the parents' decision to make sure that their child gets the best nutrients possible for them. And the best nutrients come from breast milk. That's what it's made for. That's why we have it. That's why it's developed. So if you don't choose to give your babies breast milk, then you won't. It won't happen. What to know about Cronobacter? The germ, officially named Cronobacter sca- Sakazaki, I think that's it, Sakazaki, occurs naturally in the environment. It is also found in dry foods, including powdered baby formula, powdered milk, herbal teas, and starches, per the CDC's website. Cronobacter can easily survive in dry conditions, such as powdered formula, even in closed containers where there is little oxygen, especially if it's already been found in the factory. Of course, it ain't doing nothing but being spread, said Kelly Johnson Arbor, MD. In the United States, powder infant formula is not required to be sterile, and this increases the risk of Cronobacter contamination. Because of this, many doctors recommend feeding liquid, not powdered, formula to premature infants or those with weakened immune system. What is feeding? What is liquid? The only liquid I know of is breast milk. So, what is liquid? Because I thought that the only infant formula was came in powder form. So, if they recommend feeding liquid and it's not breast milk, what are they talking about? I don't know. And I'm pretty sure I don't know. While Cronobacter infections are rare, they're not rare. They can be serious in the first days or weeks of a newborn's life, potentially causing sepsis or meningitis, which can be life threatening. Infants who are born prematurely or have weakened immune systems are more susceptible, the CDC states. Early symptoms of infections in babies include fever, low energy, excessive crying, poor feeding, and possible seizures. And seizures could be fatal. So you wouldn't want it to get to that point. But my thing with this is the fact that parents allow the doctors to just write it off because they refuse to believe that the doctor would sell them something that is dangerous to their children. And they don't understand the fundamental economic situation that goes on with these companies and these physicians. These physicians push formula on purpose. So I know, it's a lot trying to figure out or trying to listen to these articles or go through these articles with me, but I bring you this information to save our children. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's to save the children. This is fatal. Babies are dying because of formula, because nobody is stepping up and saying anything or let alone doing anything about it. So that's why I'm here to let you know there is another alternative. There's another alternative. And people look at breast milk like it's nasty or breastfeeding like it's nasty, and it's natural. It's one of the most natural things you could do. Sure, it takes a lot of work. Sure, it's more work than scooping a couple of scoops of powdered sugar and additives and chemicals into a bottle, filling it with water. Sure, it's more work than that. Of course it is. But anything to make sure that these babies are healthy, it has nothing to do with us. So you want to gamble on your child's life by feeding them contaminated formula when milk is readily available? I don't understand. I'm just an advocate for breastfeed. I'm an advocate for breastfed nation, especially for these are babies who can't take care of themselves. So only 2 to 4 cases approximately of Cronobacter infections are reported to the CDC each year, but some experts believe the actual number is much higher because it is. Unlike E. coli, hepatitis A, and other serious foodborne diseases, most hospitals were historically not mandated to report Cronobacter infections to public health authorities, right? Because it will disrupt the billions being made in the infant formula industry. These people don't care about your kids. You have to care enough about your children to make a sound decision for them. These people don't care about your kids. These people they don't care. They don't care. But you should care enough to make sure. And this is why I advocate for wet nurses. This is why I advocate for wet nurses. Because at least you know that your baby is getting nutrients that they need to develop naturally. You won't have to worry about infant related deaths and bacteria being spread or meningitis or sepsis. You won't have to worry about that. You won't have to worry about it. If you can't breastfeed or you something else is going on, get somebody who can and stop with all this chemical formula. Stop, please. Our babies are suffering from this. If you really care about your children, you would do what's best for them. You would do what's best for them. She added that she hopes the newly announced reporting of Cronobacter to the CDC will help public officials more rapidly identify and contain outbreaks, reducing the potential mortality from this disease and improving the health of newborns, adults with weakened immune systems, and other vulnerable populations. Now, what people don't uh, what people don't really place the puzzle pieces together is newborns turn into adults. We were all newborns at one time. So if you don't do anything to correct your immune system or you constantly feed feed things into your system that weaken your immune system, you're gonna succumb to these situations anyway. So why not start when they're a baby? because that's where all your habits really form when you're young. So why not start all these habits now and save the babies? To help prevent Cronobacter infections in babies, the CDC recommends keeping hands and surfaces clean, properly cleaning and storing feeding items, and preparing and storing powder formula safely. Babies who are breastfed, babies who are breastfed and or fed liquid formula, which I don't even know what that is, are at lower risk, the agency states. Babies who are breastfed don't have to deal with this. Let me tell you, and I speak from experience. My son has never had a cold. He's 2. He's never had a cold. Sure, he's had fevers. The only time he had a fever is when he was teething. My son has never had a cold in his life. So think about that. And he's been breastfed. So think about that. Think about all the things. My son has never been constipated. Never been constipated. So you got to think about that. You have to think about all the things that come, not even just with the bacteria. Now the crazy part about it is this the sentence before it says to help prevent Cronobacter infections in babies. The CDC recommends keeping hands and surfaces clean, properly cleaning and storing feeding items, and preparing and storing powdered formula safely. How is that possible? Didn't I just read earlier? I could have swore I read earlier that they found it in the factory. In the factory. FDA admits to knowing about deadly bacteria found in baby formula factory months before product recall. So how do you have the audacity to tell me to make sure that I keep my hands and surfaces clean, properly store the items and all of that, when even before I get the container, even before it's purchased, it's contaminated. It already got the bacteria in it. Before I even scoop the milk out to make a bottle, the bacteria already exists. How dare you? How dare you when it's your fault? It's your fault that this stuff is still on the shelf. It's your fault. You have the power to do something about this and you choose not to. So don't sit up and tell me to make sure I'm doing everything I can to prevent it when you the one giving it to me to begin with. Breastfeed y'all babies. Breastfeed y'all babies. Learn about it. Do it. Sacrifice yourself for your children. Y'all don't know what's in this stuff. These babies do not the possess the nutrients, the systems to fight off whatever it is, the contamination. These babies don't they haven't developed the right to fight this yet. It is your decision. Breastfeed these babies. Protect our children. Do whatever you can to learn about it. Do whatever you need to do. Because I don't want to keep reading about this. I don't want to keep hearing about our babies being sacrificed because y'all don't want to do, or y'all don't want to learn, or y'all feel like y'all can't do it. Do something. Either you breastfeed, get somebody who can. You breastfeed, get somebody who can. Save these kids. They didn't ask for this. Just something to think about. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. I'm just bringing you the information. That's what I'm here for. I'm just bringing you the information so you can make sound decisions to make sure your children are protected. So, like, share, and subscribe, please. Push us so that we're in the algorithm so that we can let more people know, so that people can become more aware. And I will continue to bring you information like this for informational purposes only. I will continue to bring you information like this so that you will be able to make a strong decision for what's best for your babies. And I know you'll do right by them by breastfeeding. So thank you again for joining me. Like, share, and subscribe. If you have any information, or if you have something to say, if you're from Minnesota or Michigan, you know somebody who's experienced something like this, leave it down in the comments. I'm only here to help you. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you on the next video. Love you all.